Hey Lucky, what's up?
Hey man, I need as many siege towers as you can possibly make for my massive Minas Tirith project.
Right, thanks for that, man. I really appreciate you you asking me out to help. I would love to just be a part of this community build. It means a lot.
Oh, and by the way, I need them in 2 weeks' time, so, with postage, if you could get them done in a week, that would be great.
Hang on.
Alright, thanks dude, see you later.
All right. Yeah, let's get started then. Now, we could make these practically, but unfortunately, I've got a lot on and I don't have a week to spend dedicated just to building siege towers. So, one cool option is 3D printing, because I can just put my 3D printer on, walk away, and it'll make whatever it wants for me. So to start this, we need to pick an STL file of a siege tower for us to 3D print. Lucky and I pored over many siege tower STL files and eventually settled on this one because it looked the coolest. We were trying to find something as close as possible to the siege towers from the Return of the King, and these files look pretty close. Now this file's pretty big. Fully printed, it's going to be about 30 centimeters tall, but remember that we need the ramp to be level with the top of the wall. I'm actually not sure how tall these walls are, so let's ask Lucky.
Just a casual 12 inches high.
No worries, Lucky. 12 centimeters will be easy. I'll just be able to scale these towers down and they'll be printing in no time at all. 12 inches? I thought he said centimeters. Are you sure? How the fuck? No worries, Lucky. 12 inches to the top of the wall will be totally fine. I'm gonna have so much fun printing off these files. We're gonna need help, man. So a nice easy way of fixing this is we just scale up the files. I've done the maths and they need to be 200% bigger. Easy, right? Well, yeah, no, that doesn't fit. So we need a different solution. Let's go check out Blender. Blender is a 3D design software, among many other things. It's completely free, and if you have 3D printers or you're interested in 3D printing, it is an awesome skill set to develop. So the idea is that we have our towers and we need to make it tall enough so that it's level with the top of the walls. So scaling it up didn't work. What we're going to do is add an extra level in. This would be really easy if it weren't for these wooden ramp bits at the back that if we just duplicated a layer, they wouldn't match up. So what I'm going to do is duplicate a layer, and then I'm going through and I'm cutting out all of those ramp bits and the support for the ramp because, well, this bottom layer doesn't need that. Next, I'm going to rebuild this. So to do that, I start with adding in a square, and then I edit it into a rectangle, and then I just duplicate it, scale it, until I have the exact same shape as the ramp that I'm looking for. The last step that I need to do on this bit is just adding the wood texture. This is something really easy. I just go into the sculpting tools and I smooth it out, and then I add lots of wavy lines. Blender might seem intimidating at first, but once you've got the hang of it, it's actually really easy to use. And in no time at all, this file was ready. The last step was just smoothing down the supports, and it doesn't look perfect, but that's fine because it's a Mordor siege tower, so I don't think that orcs are perfect builders. Now, with our file prepared, we can send it off to the 3D printers. Hey Lucky, I have an issue. So these prints take 5 days each, and I only have one FDM printer. I'm only going to be able to make one. I'm going to let you deal with this problem.
I lit the beacon. Zorbazorb officially called for aid, and a whole host of 3D printers rallied to our cause. We were absolutely blown away by the Australian Middle-earth community as we assembled a legion of 3D printing machines, which was sort of necessary as the sheer scope of this project set 3 of those printers on fire.
Now I'm using an Ender 5 here. This is how my first print came out. It's not perfect, let's be honest. It's peeled up in the corner and it's gone all mushy there, so it doesn't look good. The good thing is I have a solution. I'm going to replace the default bed that came with this 3D printer with a nice smooth glass bed. Alright, with that glass bed on, let's go and print the next piece. And as you can see, we have another problem with this piece. The edges have peeled up. Unfortunately, because of our time constraints, I'm not going to have time to refix this, but you know what? That's fine. Mordor Siege Tower, they're not great builders anyway. And, oh well. But the problem is what went wrong here. We need to figure that out. Now, when I went in and redesigned my file and I said this. Blender might seem intimidating at first, but it's actually really, really easy to use. Maybe I wasn't fully correct, because the issue was I didn't have a first layer on this print because my boxes in the sides were just below the level of the rest of the tower. This was a big, big rookie mistake, but I went in and I fixed it, and they should be good to go now. Unfortunately, while my print is still going, although not perfectly, other people's 3D printers have been dropping like flies. We're down to just a couple people who are able to print towers now. So Lockie's army of 3D printers that he assembles has actually pulled it out of the bag, because I got this package. And inside, we got 2 more 3D printed siege towers. Thanks, James. Let's get on to painting these guys while mine finish printing. And the person who made these files originally is Gamescape 3D. They have a whole bunch of terrain STL files. They have actually given Lockie and I the permission to sell these modified files, so if you want to participate in the Minas Tirith community build and you want to build your own siege towers, you can do that. Just check out Zorpazorp or ConquestCreations.com where these files are available. When you 3D print things, they don't always come out perfectly. Obviously you saw my pieces raised up a little bit in one of the edges, but another issue that comes up very often is stringing. This is where a little bit of filament oozes out as the head drives around, and it leaves these little spider webs across your pieces. Now, the easiest way to clean this up is just scraping it off, but that can be pretty time consuming, and given that these need to be shipped out tomorrow, I don't have time. So, I have a fast way of doing this. Heat melts PLA. These super thin pieces of PLA should melt away very quickly. So, I'm going full overkill on this. Would I recommend you clean strings with a blowtorch? Well, probably not. I would recommend you just tweak your printer settings slightly. But if you have to make all of these towers in just 1 week and you have literally 0 time, you cannot argue against how effective a blowtorch is for this task. I actually think I'm going to get roasted in the comments for using a blowtorch on a 3D print. Alright, with our pieces de-stringed, we can get into the painting. With these prints done, the first step is just priming everything in brown. They're made out of wood, so it's the natural choice. With all those pieces spray painted, it's just a matter of going over them with a heavy black wash. Now, to make washes is incredibly easy. I just take water, mix some black paint in, add a squirt of soap, and we're good to go. No need to use expensive fancy paints on it. I just have cheap sample pots of black from my local hardware store, and this is going to last us forever. Alright, with all of our pieces washed and dried, it took forever for them to dry, we can move on to the next step, which is just dry brushing everything in brown. And that's as far as I'm going to go with these siege towers. I have one more piece that's just a banner that's being painted in red and that has a cool Mordor symbol freehanded on it. And I would like to spend more time on these, but unfortunately they need to be sent out the day of painting, so we didn't have time to spend on the super fine details. And with that, the towers are ready to be sent up to Lockie in Queensland for the ultimate siege of Minas Tirith. Let's go check in what they look like at the very end. And that's it, project completed. Can't wait to see these